Scammers are thriving, especially this time of year, and they're counting on us to be distracted, rushed, and generous. Here's the truth. It's very likely that you or someone you know has already been scammed. But guess what, lovies? Our guest today is going to help us take back our power. That's right. And you're going to meet her, and we're going to find out all about her phenomenal organization in a minute. But first, we have to take a quick break. But not to worry, we'll be back in a flash, a hot flash. If you like the AGG podcast, you can show us some love at buymeacoffee.com, Ageless Glamour Girls. We also want to shout out our sponsors, Tina Dove, Miller Curtis Jr., and Marcia Curtis Jones. Thanks for the love. Welcome back, and welcome to the Ageless Glamour Girls Podcast. I'm your host, Marqueeta Curtis-Haynes. I'm the CEO and founder of the lifestyle brand Ageless Glamour Girls, where we celebrate and empower women 50 plus on their ageless aging journeys, on our ageless aging journeys. We talk all things aging, and nothing is off limits besides politics, but everything else is fair game. We're so glad that you're here. Now, today we're going to talk scams, specifically holiday scams. Every single day, thousands of older adults are targeted by scammers, and those numbers rise sharply during the holiday season. And just like everything, within technology, scammers are becoming more sophisticated, more aggressive, and more emotionally manipulative. Today, we're going to change that with knowledge, clarity, and confidence. I am honored to be joined by Eva Velasquez. She is president and CEO of the Identity Theft Resource Center. You know that name. You know that organization. If you don't, you better get with the program. It's a national nonprofit leading the country in tracking identity crimes, scam trends, and the financial and emotional toll these crimes take. Eva is one of the nation's most trusted voices in this space. Thanks for coming on the show, Eva.
It is a pleasure to be here. I am looking so forward to this conversation, and I hope we can educate some folks and also let people know they're not in it alone. You have a resource. There's help out there for you.
That's right. That's right. So, Eva, every single day you hear about someone getting scammed. They're everywhere, especially during the holidays. But as we know, it happens year round, and it only gets worse. And the scammers are getting more sophisticated. Of course, AI is helping out in that regard. So how bad is this situation? Tell us about the scamming landscape right now, especially where it pertains to older people.
Well, unfortunately, we're seeing things move in the wrong direction. I've been in this space for decades, and the scamming activities keep getting more and more prevalent, and the harm is increasing. We're seeing much higher dollar amounts lost in single transactions. We're seeing people reporting emotional impacts of feeling like they're vulnerable. They've lost their ability to trust. They've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars and just feel like it's their fault. There's a lot of shame that also, and embarrassment that also goes along with victimization. It goes hand in hand. Organizations like the ITRC are trying to address this problem. We're trying to work on bringing these numbers down. So help people to recognize scams, help them to know where to go when they have questions before they make a decision, because we do, but we also provide recovery services. So if you have been a victim of identity theft or a scam, we will help you recover your identity and take that control back. But it is moving in the wrong direction, unfortunately. So I really want people to know that you have to be vigilant.
Right. And here again, thank God for you guys. You mentioned of the emotions that's involved and the shame. You guys did a recent study that is just mind blowing. Tell us about that.
Well, the Consumer Impact Report is a study we've actually been doing for decades. So the ITRC has been around for 25 years. Mm-hmm. And we started looking at the emotional impacts of identity crime. So that's identity theft, misuse, fraud, and scams. And we found that there were very significant emotional impacts. I listed some of them before, mm-hmm. but we look at all of the people that we helped in the year before. We survey them and ask them questions about their experience. But then we also conduct a general population survey at the same time, and we compare the two. Like, what are the differences? What is something that's universal between the victims that we helped and other people that have been victimized that didn't seek our assistance? And the number of people reporting that they actually felt suicidal. They felt like the only way out of their situation was to end their own life. That is, I mean, it's staggering. It's disheartening. But it's the reality. It's unfortunately where we're at. And I think that people, unless you've been through it, people don't often understand just how emotionally significant it can be. And it doesn't necessarily go hand in hand with the dollar losses. We have to remember losses are relative. That's another thing that we look at. For one person, losing $1,000 could be life altering. It could be the difference, right? Between paying your rent or your car payment or putting food on the table. For someone else, it may be something they don't like. It stings, it hurts, but it's not going to alter the trajectory of their life. So we have to remember those losses are relative, and the emotions also, it also depends on what else is going on in your life. And with all the turmoil that's going on externally, I can see why emotions and this sense of not being able to trust anyone, just feeling like, what is the point? Everything's going wrong. I can see why, if victimization is occurring right now in the past year, why such a high percentage of people actually did have thoughts of self-harm.
That is frightening. The shame of it. And you're so embarrassed. You don't want to talk to anybody. And if someone calls you a second time, they keep on at it. And it's like, you're afraid. And I would assume that the scammers tell them, this is between me and you.
Gosh. Yes, absolutely. There's secrecy. There's pressure and a sense of urgency. You must act now, but you can't tell anyone. Don't tell your friends. Don't tell your family. Don't reach out for help. Don't tell law enforcement. I really want the message to get home to your listeners. There is no shame in being the victim of a crime. Full stop. I think how we talk to and how we talk about victims of identity crimes is really, really important. And I don't ever want someone to be embarrassed or ashamed to reach out for help if they've been a victim and they need recovery services. But also, if you're in the moment and you don't know what decision to make, don't feel like, I should know this. I should know if I should click on that link or not, or if I should respond to that text message or not, or what, insert issue here. I just don't feel that way. It's a complicated world out there. Organizations like ITRC exist. Friends and family exist. Don't let someone talk you into not talking about what help you need. I need help making this decision. I need help understanding how this works. There is no shame or embarrassment in that.
And we'll come back to that, because how as family members, you have to, as we get older, we have to advocate for ourselves, but you have to advocate for those in your life as well. And what pay attention to, and that's another opportunity to talk to them and say, talk to me about.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
What's going on.
If that is the one thing that you walk away with here, it's let's normalize conversation about this topic. I know I do it with my mom. I'm technically a senior. So obviously my mom is a senior. but we're vulnerable in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I've heard a lot of conversations about, well, what is the most vulnerable population to scams and identity theft and fraud? And you know what? There isn't one.
Because the youngins, they get in trouble too.
We're all vulnerable, just differently.
Mm-hmm.
And it isn't your age necessarily. It's how you interact with the outside world, particularly the digital world. Mm-hmm. And my 82-year-old mother's vulnerabilities are different than mine, but I fully acknowledge I am also vulnerable to these things.
That's right.
I need help.
That's right.
I have to ask questions. And so my mother and I mean, we actually have a fair number of these conversations because I don't ever want her to feel like her asking me a question means she's not capable of making her own decisions or managing her own finances or managing her own life. Mm-hmm. That's the sign of someone who's really good at managing their own life and making decisions, is asking for help and taking that into consideration. So we have a lot of those types of conversations, and she'll send me screenshots and be like, this is a scam, right? And I'm like, yes, Mom, that's a scam. Gold star. You got it.
Right.
And, but we have to normalize the conversation so people don't feel stupid, that they're not like, oh, I'm dumb, I should know this. That is not true. Mm-hmm. It's hard to keep up. I do this for a living and I can barely keep up with all the different iterations of this crime. So I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, I should know that already.
And I know that you just mentioned, it impacts everybody, all generations, but let's keep it real with this huge transfer of wealth that's going on right now from, the baby boomers and, silent generation to their heirs. That even makes us more of a target, right?
Well, it does. It opens up a new vulnerability pathway. Mm-hmm. So if you think about all of the different ways that you are interacting, again, particularly online, but conducting digital only transactions. Mm-hmm. Now, if we're talking about this transfer of wealth, you're going to have people who are dealing often with processes and platforms that they're not familiar with. And so they're navigating this for the first time. And I'll use purchasing a home as an example, because I think more people are familiar with that. But we have seen, and it's still going on. There's more things put in place to address it now. But when it first really came to the forefront, we have seen thieves inserting themselves into the process where you're transferring the money to your escrow company for your down payment. Mm-hmm. So someone is buying a house, they're purchasing a house, they're told by their broker or the escrow company, we're going to send you an email with a link to a secure portal, and that's where you deposit your money. Well, the scammers are able to, through looking at publicly available data, know about the time when someone might be anticipating that link, and they send out a fake one. They send out a spoof and if you don't know with certainty that is the link that you're supposed to click on, you're like, well, they told me I should expect it in the next couple of days. You click on that link. You send the money, hundreds of thousands of dollars. You send it to a different account. And once it's gone, it's gone. When you do a wire transfer like that money is gone. There is no clawing it back. And I get concerned with this wealth transfer that you're talking about. People are moving things from brokerage accounts or 401k accounts or even homes, selling and buying homes, and they don't have any experience with that. That is a huge vulnerability.
From what I'm reading, it's like I said earlier, some of this stuff is mind blowing. We're trying to get ahead of the scam.
Well, and not to leave people hanging, because they're going to say, oh, well, Eva, you told me about the problem, but not what to do about it.
No, we're going to get to that.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Now, and I want to go, because of the holiday season, let's talk about online shopping and the fake websites. What are some of the red flags that we should look out for?
Well, this is a tough one because it takes absolutely no time to build a letter perfect, visually stunning website. So I always encourage people, if it's not a known retailer, if you're not going to a site that you have been to before and that you have shopped on before, then I want you to do some secondary research before you make a purchase.
Okay.
Don't just rely on that site itself. Don't just rely on reviews on that site because those can be manufactured. Look and see if you can find other references to that company, to the website that are not just that website. I also wanted to, there's a lot of shopping that's going to go on via social media. You know, you can shop on Facebook, you can go to TikTok shop, all of those places. And I want you to be very careful. Look, there's a lot of commerce that goes on those sites that goes off without a hitch. But there's also a ton of fraud. So you may see a video. I really feel like, especially for seniors, I kind of tell them, you know, shopping on social media sites, I really don't, I think that's not for the faint of heart. So if you're not really experienced, I wouldn't do it by yourself. Let's say TikTok, for example. You may have a video that's from a legitimate vendor and you go, oh, that sounds really good. And I know that company, maybe it's skincare, maybe it's Clinique. And you go, oh, I know that's a legitimate company and I want to buy that face cream because look at how lovely it made her skin look. I'm going to get that for my mom or my niece. But you have to realize that those videos can be repurposed. So even if that video was made by a legitimate account, another account can spoof it, post that same video and have phony links. So there aren't many protections in place for you there. And yes, if you're savvy, you can look at the name, you can look at all of that and go, oh, I see what happened there. But during the holidays, this is part of what also makes all of us vulnerable is we're in a hurry. We're in go mode, man.
Yes, we're in a hurry.
Checking that box I got. That's okay, mom, dad, kids, spouse, and you're just plowing through it. And I think that's also part of what the bad actors are going to rely on is that we just want to get it done. And so we're not doing our own due diligence and taking a minute to breathe. So that's another piece of advice there. Just step back for a second. Don't let the frenzy of, oh, that hard to buy item that sold out everywhere else. I just found it on this website and it's cheaper than retail. That's a huge red flag. That's a huge red flag.
That's a great point. Yeah, that's a good point. Do your due diligence. And then if you're second guessing, call someone. Send them the link. Right?
Yes.
And like,
yes.
Is this legit?
Talk about it. What do you think? Do you think this is legitimate? This looks a little fishy. Or even if you don't think it, you're like, well, does this sound too good to be true? You know, there's actually a lot of science behind how the scammers hijack our brain. They do this, create this sense of urgency, this sense of fear or sense of missing out to get us to engage our emotional brain, which is great at protecting us. It's not good at making logical choices, but the bad actors know that. And so they really want to get us in that emotional state so that we're making emotional decisions. And one of the best things you can do for yourself is pull back, walk away from the computer, put the phone down and step back and say, wait a minute, let me contemplate this. Let me think for a minute. Nothing bad is going to happen in 5 minutes. I can think. And it lets you get back into the logic centers of your brain, which is much better at making choices.
Wow. Yeah. I read this article years ago, and I think it was a New York Times article, and it talked about how when people get older, they get more trusting in a sense. So when that phone call comes, and it sounds so good, and plus they might be loneliness plays into that as well. So, and I speak from experience just because my mother went through some stuff, years ago when she was still alive. She would call me and she's like, this is the big one. What was his name? Ed McMahon, right?
Ed McMahon, Publishers Clearinghouse. Yes. That actually made a resurgence in our contact center. It was a couple of years ago. We started getting reports and I went, is Publishers Clearinghouse still a thing?
Wow.
Here's the hard part. It is. It really is still a legitimate organization. It still does have a sweepstakes.
Oh
And
my goodness.
so even if people are doing like a cursory look, they'll go, well, it could be true. And
Right.
that's hope. All that is, I don't actually think that's just seniors and people getting older. That's people who just are looking for some hope that
That's so
something
true.
good is going to happen.
Right. Right. Because my mother, she was convinced. She called me and says, yeah, she didn't mention Ed McMahon, but she said, someone's going to come by here and bring me a check. And I said, Mom, no one's going to bring you a check. No one's going to come by and bring you a check. But so what I did was I called my cousin who lived nearby and I said, can you just go over here and sit with my mother for like 4 or 5 hours? Oh my gosh. And bless his heart, he did that. And no one ever showed up. But you
Well,
know,
maybe they did, and they saw that he was sitting there, and they went, I'm blind.
you know, I thought about that too. I said, because there are a lot of cars anyway in her neighborhood. So I said, did something throw them off that day? I just wondered to this day about that.
But I mean, that's part of how we all kind of need to be in this together. And it really is us against the bad actors and supporting each other. And
Yes.
so, you know, if you maybe have some neighbors who don't necessarily talk that much, have a lot of interaction, be that litmus test for them. Let them know, hey, if you ever need to ask me about that, you can. And let people ask, like I was talking about before, normalize asking those questions. And just so people know, sweepstakes, there's still lottery and sweepstakes scams out there. The challenge is that there are some legitimate lotteries and sweepstakes that exist.
Okay.
But you will never have to pay ahead of time.
Right.
That's what I always say. You're never going to have to pay ahead of time. I don't care if they say there's a fee, you got to pay taxes. That's bunk. That's not true. You'll never have to pay that. And when it comes to things like drawings and lotteries and sweepstakes, did you buy a ticket? And if you didn't buy a ticket, how did you win? So
exactly. Right. And this next one I wanted to ask you about was the delivery text scams from UPS, USPS, FedEx, Amazon. The list goes on and on. They look real. So what are the red flags? What's the quickest way you can tell if that is not, those messages are not legit? And the phone calls and the text messages and the emails. How do you know if they're not legit?
I'm actually going to tell people it's nigh impossible to tell. When you're looking at emails and text messages and you're looking for things like grammatical errors or the syntax is wrong, AI has largely addressed that for the bad actors.
Oh my gosh. You're so right. 'Cause back in the day, you could tell. I mean,
you can see it. You're like, oh, that's such a scam. Yes. So now you have to really think about, and this is where the shopping frenzy, we're buying from different places, makes it a lot harder. I'm just going to ask people to do a little bit of keeping track of where they've made purchases, how they're coming in. And if you get a link for a package and you're like, oh, I really wasn't expecting that, then go to the source. And this is great universal advice for just about anything. If you have incoming communication, whether it's a phone call, a text message, an email, a letter, which is much more rare, but still starting to happen, postal mail, you don't need to engage with that medium or that platform. You can go to the source and verify outside of the platform. You know, you get a text message that says it's from FedEx for some delivery. Well, what packages are you waiting for? And if you're still really like, no, I think I might have something I need to check, go to the FedEx website directly and verify it that way. 9 times out of 10, if you're not expecting the package, then it's a scam. It's not coming to you. And it could be a Christmas gift. Well, the person who purchased it is going to get that notification.
Exactly.
Not necessarily you.
Right. And hopefully they will call you and tell you to look out. I sent you something.
I sent you something. It's on its way.
Yeah.
And then, just all the other weird communication that you get incoming, social media direct messages. you don't have to engage. You don't know who's on the other end of that communication.
Mm-hmm.
You get a weird message from a friend, high school friend, saying they sent you a gift, or they're doing something, or they're, I don't know, they need to borrow money because it's the holidays. Mm-hmm. You don't have to engage in that on the platform. Give them a call, send them an email. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have any other way to get in touch with these folks other than on the social media platform itself, then mm-hmm. my question is always, why are they asking you for money? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Someone That's maybe true. in their closer network is who they would ask. Why are they asking you?
Exactly. And I was just thinking about this too. I think this one is still going on. I get about 3 or 4 months ago, the Turnpike. You owe some outstanding.
Oh, the tolls. Yeah, the toll scam.
Oh my God, the tolls were a mess. And so, I'm just so not paranoid is the word, but I'm just on the case. Just looking at every text, everything that
You're
comes.
Vigilant.
Yes, I'm very vigilant. And the other day, it beeped up. Amazon says, "Oh, I got a text from Amazon," and it says, "Oh, we just sent you the verification code, right?" And I'm like, "Verification code for what? What verification code?" I immediately hit delete, and it's a scam. Send it to junk and report it or whatever. And then 30 seconds later, my husband's like, "Baby, did you get that code?" I'm like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "What code?" He's like, "From Amazon." I'm like, I said, "You have to tell me these things in advance."
Ahead of time.
But luckily for him, I just taken a screenshot of it because I'm like, in case I have to report this later on. I took a screenshot of it. So I gave him the code and it worked. But yeah, just, you have to be on top of everything like that. But, so if you live with somebody, if you have children, just tell them to let you know in advance if something's going to go down.
That you're going to be getting something.
Give you a heads up. Yes. You know what? This scam I know was still going around last year. The calling of the grandparents and saying this is, here again, AI, the changing of the voice. They can mimic voices now. Mm-hmm. Grandma, this is, Sally and I have been in an accident. I need some money immediately. You know what I'm talking about.
I absolutely do.
Happening, the fake grandparent calls.
We dubbed them the grandparent scam, but mm-hmm. really I think of them more as the emergency scam.
Oh yes. Mm-hmm.
Because it's not just grandparents, it's parents, it's aunts and uncles. Uh-huh. It's a vulnerable person in your life mm-hmm. is reaching out and saying they need help. Right. And we hear of it with all different relationships. Like mm-hmm. you said, parent, child, mm-hmm. grandparent, child. But the bottom line is you get a call and you think it's from a relative, a family member, a friend, and for whatever reason, they're in dire straits. I've just been in a car accident. I've just mm-hmm. been arrested. My car broke down and I'm stranded. Oh, mm-hmm. I was traveling for spring break and my flight got delayed and now I'm stranded in a strange city, outside right. of the country. I need help. It's SOS. I need help. And it always is in the form of money. Can you send me money? Mm. And I mean, you really did used to target seniors because it was easier to explain away why maybe it didn't sound like your granddaughter or grandson.
Right.
Oh, I was in an accident. My jaw's wired shut. Oh, it's a really bad connection. But now they don't have to deal with that because voice cloning can be done with 3 seconds of audio clip. 3 seconds. And it is a very good clone. It's cheap and it costs nothing. So yeah. I just always tell people, look, if you get that emergency SOS, again, you don't know who's on the other end of the phone. Mm-hmm. There's a couple things you can do. One, call the person back at another phone number. Mm-hmm. Because chances are they're not calling you from their known number. Mm-hmm. And it'll save you so much heartache. Like I told my mom early on that if any one of my 3 children call you saying, "Grandma, send me money," you just tell them, call your mother. And then you can call me. There is no reason why my children would be asking their grandmother for money, period. Mm-hmm. And I've also heard families liking to use essentially like a safe word. So you just come up with a really obscure random word like pineapple dictionary, it's just something that's a little bit obscure that you're not going to hear in everyday conversation. And you can use that word and say, well, what's our safe word? I think that the only problem I see with that is as people start to publicize that, they may inadvertently put it out on their social media or something like that. And you could communicate your safe word to somebody. Just be careful not to. Right. My go-to is you don't engage with that call. If I get a call from, someone saying I lost my phone and it's emergency and I need this, I would immediately be going either onto the other line or picking up my husband's phone and dialing them and going, are you okay?
Right.
Exactly. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to pick up their own phone and be like, what's up?
Right. Right. And getting back to the scam, it actually happened to a friend of mine, her mother. And what saved them was that the person on the line were asking for like $2,000, just $2,000 and $3,000. So she called her daughter immediately and like, hey, I need you to send me, what's the quickest way I can get $2,000? And she's like, for what? And that's what it's like. Thank God she called her.
She called and said, yes. Oh. And understanding instant payments. Our payments move at the speed of light now. And I think so many of us got used to, you write a check, there's a, 3-day lag between when it's actually going to clear. Mm-hmm. You charge back on a credit card if something goes awry, but we have a lot of instant payment type of platforms now. And that is like cash. Once that money is gone, it's gone. There's no clawing it back. And I have told my mother numerous times, there is no reason in your life that you need access to or to be sending instant payments. That's a really big red flag. If you're having a conversation with somebody, if you're dealing with even trying to make a purchase, if someone is trying to steer you towards one of those payment methods, I would walk away from that transaction, even if you initiated it. Even if you're online shopping and they're like, we don't take credit cards. Well, why not?
Right.
It's because you can do chargebacks on credit cards. Wow. So look at that. Right. Look at the payment form. And I know some like Etsy stores, some of them don't take credit cards. They want other forms. They want Venmo. And I'm not trying to discourage you from purchasing from, small businesses or independent creators, because I think that's a great thing. Just be aware that those payments, again, once they're gone, they're gone.
Right. So the word here is to try to use the traditional credit card.
Yes.
Right. That's the safest.
Yes. You have the most consumer recourse if something goes wrong, if you've made an online purchase with a credit card.
Okay. All right. This is very good. So I know some of this we've already covered, but I want to know, what are 3 or 4 of the simple steps that women can take right now to protect themselves? As we really go deep into this season. I read somewhere about freezing your credit.
Yes, that is on the top of my list. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, let's look at good cyber hygiene in general.
Oh, I love that.
Because
good
that will protect
hygiene.
you. Yes. Yeah. Yes, it's taking care of yourself digitally and good identity hygiene. And that will help you during the holiday season. But these things apply all year long. And the first one is freezing your credit. You can freeze your credit at all 3 of the bureaus. And in fact, ITRC, we have this great tool. It's called Frozen Pi that just walks you through the process and shows you step by step how to do it. Of course, it's free. I don't know if we mentioned that earlier, but we are a charity nonprofit. So all of the services that we provide to the public are at no cost to them.
Sweet.
So Frozen Pi will help you freeze your credit. You can do it for yourself. You can do it for your kids. You can do it for dependent adults. So if you're part of that sandwich generation that has kids who are minors and you're taking care of older adults, you can do it for dependent adults as well. Takes a little longer and it's a little different process because you not only have to have all of the credentials, you have to show that you have the legal authority to make decisions on their behalf, but it's still worth it because it's such good protection.
Yes. Now, go ahead.
Well, just for people that don't know, freezing your credit
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah, exactly what it is. Yeah, because some people don't know. Yeah.
I forget because I do this every day.
Right.
Like, yeah, freeze your credit. And people go, well, wait, why? Because even if your identity credentials, like your social security number, your date of birth, your driver's license number, all the things that you would need to open a new line of credit, even if those have been compromised and they're in the hands of somebody other than you, they can try, but if your credit's frozen, they can't get through. That new line of credit cannot be opened. It doesn't affect you. Your existing lines of credit are fine. And if you need it and you're like, but I do want to open a new line of credit, then you thaw it. And it's a very easy process. And again, all the steps are on Frozen Pie, and we have all the information about how to do it, but it really is an important, it's one of the most robust consumer protection steps that you as an individual can take. The other thing I tell people is it's about your password management, managing all of these accounts that we have to log on to. Please use unique passwords across all of your accounts.
Thank you. Sorry, I know somebody who doesn't do that, but yes.
No, there's a lot of people. It's still an issue. People go, well, it's too hard for me to remember. Well, there's some tools for that. There are password managers. Most of them you have to pay for, but even the ones in your browser, those are good. Those are good password managers. They're safe. They're secure. If you find that you can't manage that, it's not intuitive, well, and I especially tell this to seniors, write them down. You can write them down on paper and keep them in a secure location in your house. And I wouldn't share them with others and have other people knowing where they're at. But as long as you're old school and they're on paper, the risk is, yes, someone could break into your home and physically steal that, right? That is a risk. But that is a much lower risk than if you're using the same easy password across all of your accounts. Right. So when we think about risk surface and reducing risk surface, we're never going to get it to zero, but we need to look at, what is going to reduce it more. So if you have to write your passwords down, go ahead. The other option, the better option, is passkeys.
And explain passkeys.
Passkeys are basically, they replace passwords and use a biometric instead. So you can't even self-compromise that access because you don't know what the token is. And you can use your face to log into these accounts. The passkeys we're getting wider adoption. The challenge is it has to be offered by that entity. So you say, I want to use passkey on the, XYZ account. If they haven't implemented it, you can't. You've got to stick with a password. But wherever it's offered, we are encouraging people, please go ahead and adopt passkey. It is really, really easy. It's very intuitive. Don't be afraid that you're like, I don't know how to do it or what I'm going to be able to do. You hit that option and it will walk you through how you can use this. And then when you're done with that, you'll get really grouchy when you can't just hold your phone up to log in. Right. When you have other accounts where you got to use a password, you're going to be like, passwords.
Exactly. And I was going to say, we've been using it when you think about it for years with the iPhone. That was my introduction.
iPhone normalized the use of biometrics, and I can tell you from an organizational standpoint and from a personal standpoint, I do believe that the use of biometrics to authenticate ourselves is the only way that we're going to get out of this problem we have, particularly around the misuse of identity credentials, because there's so many data breaches and so much static data out there about us. We have to devalue that. And the only way to do that is with a biometric. And it's, I know there's a little bit of a creepy factor for some people, but my face isn't a secret. I wear it outside every day. It's not a secret. And so using it to make sure that I can prove I am who I say I am me and the only one who can be me. If I have to use a biometric to do that, I think that's a very important way to go. So I want people to know that I think there's still some people that are creeped out by the use of biometrics. And I do want to cover one more, my last tip, which is enabling MFA, multi-factor authentication. Those are those alerts on your account that some people grumble about because it's like, oh, now I have to get a code and I have to type it in and it's going to take me 7 seconds longer to log on. But it really does protect you because even if your username and password are somehow compromised, whether it's in a breach or you accidentally compromise it, without that code, someone cannot access your account. The big caveat is don't share that code with anyone. Now you did it with your husband because you have a joint account and that's different.
And it was Prime football or basketball or something was going on with Prime. I'm like, yes.
But that's different. That's the exception to the rule. A lot of times people might get a message purporting to be from a friend saying, hey, I lost my phone and I'm trying to get into my Facebook account. Can I have the code sent to you? That's a scam. That's not how it works. They're not going to associate your phone number with their new account. So the answer to that is always no. And if you're logging in and you get that MFA account and someone asks you to share it, just don't ever share it with anyone else. It's only to be used to log into that platform that you're trying to get into.
Got it. Love it. And I have to admit that I'm old school and I'm old. So I like to write everything down and I write in code, the passwords in code and everything. But half the time, I don't understand what passwords are. So I'm like, I have to get a password manager because the coding thing, writing in codes for me is like, doesn't work all the time.
But if you are in a secure living situation, having a notebook, even if they're not in code, if you have a notebook in a secure place, a locked office drawer, don't leave it sitting on the dining room table, your risk really is low. In that situation. So you can make it easier on yourself. Now, but we have to be careful because not all seniors are in that kind of a situation. Some people, they have caregivers coming in and out. Maybe they have roommates.
That's true.
So it really is a lot of what I'm talking about. I talked about how everyone's vulnerable just differently. Well, a lot of the protection and risk reduction strategies also have to be based on who you are as a person, what your living situation is, what your capability is, what your desire is in a lot of ways. How much are you willing to implement to protect yourself? So while there's some good universal truths, and I just gave you some of them, some of those good steps, there's also, we have to look at this as individuals as well. Like what's going to work for me?
Right. That is so true.
And I have to say one more thing about that. And I also recognize for our friends who are living with disabilities, blind, low vision, deaf, hard of hearing, those types of things, these types of protections are also going to look and feel a little bit different. But we do take that into account, and we have services that are designed for people kind of regardless of where they're at and what they need. We can help with those things. Oh,
okay. That's perfect. Cause we need all the help we can get with all this. And you guys are amazing. Anything else that you want to share that we have not covered? We covered the telephone scams. We covered, the fake emails, the fake websites. We covered a lot. And
I'm going to say one more thing about the holidays.
Okay.
And that is that I think when we're in the frenzy of doing all these things and frankly spending a lot of money during the month of December, we may want to put off checking our bank accounts, looking at our credit card statements, because we're like, I don't want to see the damage. But I'm going to encourage everybody to please look at those alerts and look at those statements, because if something is amiss, you want to catch it early.
Wow. You know what? That's a great idea. Just keep looking. And that's why, I have those alerts on, from your banking institutions, and they're really good if you have it enabled that, we see that you just did this. If there's anything, they're getting better at alerting you about little quirky stuff too.
Yes. Alerts are a great option. And on your bank account, on credit cards, and set them to the lowest, set them to $1 so that you see all transactions that are coming through.
Oh, and think about that.
Yeah, because you can set the threshold and it will only take a minute. You look and it says, oh, this charge just came through. And for a while, when I got a new gym membership, I kept looking at it going, I don't recognize that. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's the name of the gym. But it was really only 3 seconds. It's only 3-second delay.
Yes.
So It's not going to take you that long, and it gives you a lot of good information. It's a good early detection tool. But if you're not doing that, again, and you're getting statements in the mail, or maybe you just log into your account on the app on your phone or on your desktop. I want to encourage people not to put it off. Because we always have a very low call volume end of December. Everybody's not paying attention. And then come the beginning of January, we are flooded because all of a sudden people are detecting or following up on all the things that they needed to follow up on. So don't put it off if you see that something's amiss.
That is true. And you're going to have to come back because we have to talk, Valentine's Day is right around the corner. The whole romance scams in older women,
Oh gosh, we could have a whole episode on that, and I'd be happy to. Let's make it a regular thing because ladies, and I guess gents who are listening along with your ladies.
Exactly.
This is a shared responsibility. We have to get government and businesses, of course, to do their part, but we play a role too in protecting ourselves. And I just want to make sure people know they have resources. So they can always reach out to the ITRC. You can live chat with us, email us, call us at our toll-free number, message us, social media, direct message. There's a number of ways to get in touch with us. I don't want anybody to think they have to go it alone.
I love that. I'm so glad you guys are here. And all of the stuff you just mentioned, we are going to put in the podcast description as well. So that will be there. And any other resources you share with us. Because like I said, like you just said, we're all in this together. And we have to protect each other.
Yes,
and here again, so much with your organization is free.
Yes, we're a charity. So we're funded we get some government grants, although those have been a challenge, but we're also funded by, direct public support. So donations, sponsorships, things like that. But we understand that financial crime victims are not in a position to pay for these services or make a donation. So we rely on those other resources to make sure that people get the help they need.
Gotcha. And I know we talked about this earlier. So again, if you have been the victim of a crime, any kind of, scamming crime,
identity theft, fraud, scams. Right. Yes.
Who's your first call? Is it the police? Is it you guys? Who is your first call?
I think it's us. I think you should call the ITRC first because it depends on the situation. Now, obviously, if you're scared and you feel like you are in physical danger, if there's a physical component to it, like someone's at your door and they won't leave, then absolutely call the police. Right. Absolutely call them first. But if this is something that you've been alerted to, you got a notice in the mail, you did get that weird phone call and you're not sure what to do with it, if you call us first, we're going to give you a recovery plan that is based on your unique situation. It's not one size fits all. We listen to what's happening to you, and then we tell you, yes, you are going to need a police report. So, and here's how you do that. Or maybe you'll only need an FTC identity theft affidavit, and here's the website for that. It is very situationally dependent, and we don't want you to waste your time. So we'll give you the steps in the right order with the most meaningful ones first.
Okay. Now I know it's going to be on the website and everywhere, but just give us that 800 number just because.
It's 400 5530.
888-400-5530.
Yes.
Okay, that's the Identity Theft Resource Center, and they are there for you. They are there for us. You've been scammed.
Yes.
Call them so they can help you, re-empower yourself.
Yes. Take back your identity, and also know you're not alone, and not feel like you're the only person this happened to and nobody cares, because, that's another part of the role that I think we fill is just the empathy of knowing that you're going to be connected to a real person, not a bot. And even when you live chat with us, it's a real person on the other end.
I love that. Yeah, I wish I would have known that. I would have shared that with my mother back in the day.
Well, everybody else is listening. Share it with your moms.
Yes, that's true.
Let your moms and dads know we're here.
That's right. This is great information. I so appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you so much. We've been listening to Eva Velasquez, President and CEO of the Identity Theft Resource Center. A darn good organization. You hear me? A darn good organization. Aww. I'm so thankful that you came on here and we could share this information with people. And I'm going to push it out, because this is so needed. And you're going to come back.
It was my pleasure, and I would love to come back.
I love it. All right. We've been talking with Eva Velasquez. She is President and CEO of the Identity Theft Resource Center. Again, that's the Identity Theft Resource Center. It's the national nonprofit leading the country in tracking identity crimes, scam trends, and the financial and emotional toll these crimes take. You can find the organization at idtheftcenter.org. That's easy to remember, right? idtheftcenter.org. Of course, I'm going to have all this information in the podcast description, along with so many phenomenal resources to help us all get through this. I'm so glad we did the show today. And I just want to say, stay aware, advocate for yourself, stay vigilant, call a friend, call a family member, just check and just let them know that these scammers are thriving out here. And these are some of the red flags that you need to look out for. All right. We have to help each other. We really have to help each other out in this. And before I go, I just want to bring this up. This is our book, Ageless Glamour Girls. It's an anthology. It came out in almost 2 years ago. But now guess what? We're working on volume 2. So if you or someone you know is interested in writing a chapter in our book, then drop us a line at info@agelessglamourgirls.com. Again, that's info@agelessglamourgirls.com. All right, that's it for now. You know how I always hate to say goodbye, but it's just bye for now. And I hope this has been as enlightening for you as it was for me. So that's it for now. So here's to healthy aging and joyful living, and we'll reconnect again real soon, lovies. Bye-bye for now.